Welcome to Battleground Chats, where I talk to interesting people in the risk world about their journey in risk and resilience. Today I have Damian Connell, who joined Battleground about 6 months ago, and I think Damian has one of the most amazing stories about his risk journey. Damian, welcome to Battleground Chats.
Thank you, Craig, and thank you for inviting me, sorry.
That's all right, and I've just sprung it on Damian that we're doing this podcast because I do think you have a fascinating story, Damo. And it's taken you from, being involved with Tip Top Bread, which is a household name, as seen on TV, which we want to hear about, to NBN, and now to the consulting world. But where did it all start, and how did you get into risk from making bread?
Yeah, that's a long journey, that one. But I suppose I started as a young 15-year-old child on work experience with a commercial vacuum cleaner, sucking flowers out of industrial silos at Tip Top Bakeries. From there, I worked in the factory. I actually worked in the factory and went to school while I was still at high school, which had a little bit of an impact on my schooling career, but
I'm sure
it did. But yeah, look, from a very young age, I was really taught to have a really strong work ethic. So, I don't think I've ever told this story before, but at the age of 17, I just walked straight into the general manager's office at the Gateshead plant. Told him I thought I was better than working in a factory, and I told him I wanted a job in sales, and I wanted to know what I needed to do to get a job as a sales rep. And that would pretty much started the journey. So, spent a number of years in logistics, driving trucks. I got the opportunity to get an administrative role, specialised as a BA in reporting. And from there, really took on a lot of operational roles. So, and especially in that FMCG, fast-moving consumer goods. Yeah, just very dynamic. Every day is crisis. When you
What do you mean?
Well, if you consider, I think we probably moved anything from 80 to 100,000 units of bread products per day. So
wow.
The
in
area
Australia or just
no. This is just from the Newcastle branch. So from Newcastle, we looked after an area from Central Coast to Coffs Harbour out to Moree. So a lot of that bread product actually was manufactured at the Gateshead plant here in Newcastle, but we also had a lot of products that were actually manufactured in Sydney. So the logistics to get bread products from point A to point B. We had something like probably 15 different truck movements. The truck that went to Moree had to relay product from one truck to another truck to another truck. So every day,
it's like a network.
100%. So, and what we used to find was a 5-minute delay with the trucks leaving at 5:09, leaving the Gateshead plant for us to be on plan to get to market. 5 minutes at the back end, at the front end. Probably cost you about half an hour at the back end. And again, you got to imagine we had merchandisers at probably 200 supermarkets at 7 o'clock in the morning waiting for the drivers to turn up with bread products. All the 200 merchandisers could be standing there just waiting for bread. And it wouldn't get put on the shelf if we were 3-4 hours late. And that's before you have an accident on the freeway, before you have a fire, before you have a flood.
What advice did the manager tell you when you walked in and said, I want to get into the admin roles and the sales roles? What did he tell you?
Yeah, look, at the age of 17, I don't think he'd ever been approached by anybody so boldly. So you make your own luck in life. I think he was pretty impressed that I made the effort and obviously got rewarded for that and asked me what I wanted to do and he gave me an opportunity. And that sort of started my career.
Yeah. It also shows how important it is, one, to be bold and brave, but two, to have a manager and a mentor around you that can help you and guide you and see the benefit in it.
Yeah, and look, my father worked in the factory at the time, and he actually said to me, you're better than, not that I have any issues working in a factory, but he actually said to me, look, I think you've got a lot of potential.
Yeah.
Don't be stuck on the end of a bread machine for the next 20 years of your life. I think you could go places.
Yeah. And you just had to make that move. And then that took you in all these weird and wonderful directions, which is amazing.
Yeah, from there, from food manufacturing into retail. So it started up around 10-year business. I know you mentioned the As Seen on TV before. So again,
so tell us about that. I think it's a household name, right?
It is.
When I was growing up, you had the TV ads and you had the As Seen on TV, and then you had the retail stores. I was like, every time you drive past, I've got to go in and get my extra set of steak knives. How did you get into that?
My wife worked for McDonald's for 10 years, and she had a multi-site franchisee. Alan Cox is his name. Loveliest gentleman, a real mentor. We had our first child, and we decided that we wanted to pursue our own business ventures. And he'd sort of spoken to Michelle and said, look, I've seen an opportunity. It's not right for me. They don't want investors. They want owner operators.
Yeah.
And that started that journey. So we took on a franchise for Dano's Direct. So Dano's Direct was the As Seen on TV company. And what they did, they had a retail network called Dano's Directions. So at the time, we were exclusive Dano's Direct only products.
Yep.
And we talk resilience, Craig. 26 days into the business, the parent company that owned Dano's went into voluntary administration. And we thought we thought our dreams had been shattered. Very testing time. But like with anything, there was a silver lining. 12 months of a lot of pain dealing with Corda Mentor and receivers. We eventually, the legacy franchise agreements got ripped up. We've become independent businesses. We struck up our own supply agreements with not just Dano's, but other leading As Seen on TV companies, like Global Shop Direct, and a few other companies that were doing a lot of TV advertising. And we made it a more holistic As Seen on TV store, not just a Dano's shop.
Yep. Where was your area that you looked after?
So we had a store at Jasmine. That was our foundation store initially.
Yeah.
We opened up a store in Tamworth. We opened one on the Central Coast and another one at Mount Hutton. So we were spread quite wide. When we had the first shop, we used to have people drive 4 hours from Tamworth just to come and get products from us. So we had a lot of customers that actually used to drive from Coffs Harbour and Port Macquarie. So we knew we had something special.
Yes.
When people tell you they're driving for 3-4 hours just to come and buy products from you, was very unique at the time. Very, very unique.
And what was the biggest learning from that experience? Because I don't think it ended very well.
No, look, it didn't, unfortunately. GFC hit. And Dano's, unfortunately for us at the time, decided, they had a lot of pressure on them internationally from their parent company, Thane, to go global. They wanted to put their products into big box retail. So they wanted to expand. There's a lot of category growth that was trying to be pushed through the big W's and the Harris Scarf and a lot of those other big box retailers. And that's, as much as we tried to warn them that we thought that might really ruin what was quite unique, we did put a business plan together for Dano's to try to get them to open up stores through ourselves as a partnership agreement, but there was just too much pressure and they went down the big box retail. And unfortunately, we also had a number of major suppliers just never survived that GFC.
The GFC.
Which makes it challenging when you've got 4 commercial leases on shops with still 3-4 years to go.
Yeah.
So we did everything and anything we could to make a dollar, and I found myself in shopping centres in Sydney for 18 months doing live cookware demonstrations on the Flavorstone blue fry pans again.
Yes, I remember those. Awesome.
So yes, so it's but the challenge for that one, Craig, I think the unforeseen was that we didn't think those major suppliers would roll over.
Yeah, and they did.
And as best we tried to diversify our product range, to have so many large suppliers fall over simultaneously, it crippled us. And you can't compete with the big W's of the world because they used to always promote they were the cheapest in market. And, there'd be a big W in every shopping centre that we were in, and they'd be $50 cheaper on a set of fry pans.
For the same or similar product.
Exactly. And we just couldn't compete.
Yeah.
So.
And it's interesting because we talk about single points of failure a lot, and we were speaking about this earlier. And, you said to me, that experience highlighted how you had unbeknownst to you at the time, single points of failure in your supply chain.
Yep.
But you learn from that, right? So what happens next? Where does Damian go next? This is fascinating.
Well, hopefully I don't go too far from Battleground. I feel like
no, I don't mean now. I mean after Danos.
Yeah, look, after Danos, I actually went straight from Danos to NBN, the National Broadband Network.
Yeah.
And I probably
that's a big change.
That's a big change. And again, I suppose I went back to my roots, that I went back to that corporate environment. I went back to that operations type of style of network and secured myself a role.
Yeah.
I think I was a project specialist at the time, but really come in just helping build process efficiency, a lot of BA reporting, analysis. NBN was still effectively a new start business back then. And there were lots of opportunities to streamline processes, stand up reporting, implement new, systems. And it was just a really good opportunity to throw everything I'd learned over the years, into the NBN, which lasted a good 9 years, which is fantastic.
Yeah, great. So then you joined us. You've been an amazing asset to our business, I think, because you've got such a broad experience in life and in work. But I'm going to put you on the spot, right? So what are some of the big things you've learned? If you could summarize your experiences into 2 or 3 things you've learned about risk, about resilience, both business and personal, really, that you could give over. Because I think part of my goal with this podcast is for people to learn and hear from different risk people around the world. And you have a really interesting story.
Yeah, I think what I've seen it come to play while I've been at Battleground. I think the phrase "the implausible is now plausible" is so true. We've seen things occur in the last probably 3, 4, 5 years that we probably thought we'd never seen in our lifetime, and we all talk COVID, right? But that's a good example. So I think you just have to plan for every foreseeable or unforeseeable circumstance, because you just never know what is around the corner. I think we had a really good presentation even before I left NBN. There's a potential risk now. Solar flares could come and have a massive impact on our electrical grids, right?
Yep.
So that could be the next one. We could, you could say we could get hit by an asteroid. Like, anything is possible.
Yeah.
And you have to plan for it, because when that event occurs, it's the people that haven't planned for those type of drastic events are the ones that really get caught short.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. And we see that when we run our crisis exercises and we get told, you can't run that. That would never happen. Right. And they're the ones you need to run. Because when someone says it's never happened, they're the ones you kind of go, I think you will find it could happen.
Yeah, and I think if I reflect on my life experience, Craig, sometimes it's not the big bang. It's the 4 or 5 things occur concurrently that create a big bang.
Interesting.
It's 4 or 5 little things that happen simultaneously, and you've got nowhere to go. And I've had that lived experience, unfortunately, but yes.
Yeah, fascinating. Well, Damo, thanks so much for being on Battleground Chat. You're a huge part of our business. We love you, and we look forward to many, many years of battlegrounding together. Thank you for being a part of our chats.
Thank you, Craig, and thanks for inviting me onto your podcast.